Hello Chessgamologists. Today I did something a little bit different. I played two back-to-back simultaneous exhibitions against two members of my chess club. Let's see how it unfolded. Okay, let's have a look at this first simultaneous exhibition. Unfortunately, I had some issues with my microphone, so for this first one I'm simply going to do a post-game analysis. And for the second one, you will be able to see me actually play the games live, if I may say so. Okay, so let's have a look at this first game. So d4, d5, c4. This is the Queen's Gambit, and pawn takes c4. This is the Queen's Gambit accepted. Knight to c3. Knight to c6, knight to f3, so we're in the Chigorin defense, so fairly standard stuff so far. Bishop to g4, e3, so that does block my bishop on the dark squares. However, I can now take the pawn on c4, and this is quite a solid pawn structure. Knight to c6. I have to be careful of the pin. You never know if, for example, if the knight can get to e5, that would put pressure on the knight on f3. Bishop takes e5. I didn't want to take because after queen takes queen, I could have taken back with the knight, but I thought I was a bit passive. I had the feeling I was losing the initiative, so therefore I did not take on e5. And I think at the time I actually thought I could not castle anymore. I didn't actually see this knight move when I was playing it, so I preferred to castle kingside. E takes d4, takes, bishop takes knight, queen takes bishop, knight takes pawn, so I'm a pawn down. However, I can go and grab the b7 pawn, so that's what I did. Rook to b8, and here I actually thought it was a draw, because I noticed that the two knights were controlling all of these white squares. I'm sorry, it would have been a draw if I had taken the pawn. So let's just have a look, because I thought if I played queen here, then black can simply move the rook round and I would be stuck, because if we come back to this position, I can't move to any of these squares. Well, it turns out that I could have taken the pawn on a7, because there's an interesting tactic possibility here. So if rook attacks the queen, I can first play rook to e1, bishop covers, and now I can play queen to c5, and the bishop is pinned, and the bishop can't take my queen. And I missed that. I didn't see this pin. So in the game I didn't actually take the pawn. I simply played queen to a6 to play it safe. Then my opponent played knight to c2, and I think that was a turning point in the game. There's a tactic here, so if you want to pause the video, see if you can find it. I played queen to a4, and this is actually a deadly fork. The queen is attacking the king, and the queen is also attacking the knight on c2. So knight d7, and then I simply took the knight, and I was quite pleased with the position here, because I'm a piece up, so if I'm careful it shouldn't be a problem to win now. Bishop to c5. During the game I thought I could have played queen to f5 threatening mate, and I thought I could pick up the bishop, but the bishop's actually protected, so that did not work. So instead I went for rook e1 check, bishop to e7. This bishop is pinned, and as a general rule, when a piece is pinned like the bishop, it's always interesting to actually attack it as many times as you can, and that's what I did with knight to d5. We've got two pieces attacking the bishop now, the rook and the knight, and therefore the bishop, is going to be lost. Castle kingside, and knight takes e7, so it's looking good. I'm two pieces up now. King to h8, and at this point I didn't play very accurately. I was obsessed with a mating pattern, Anastasia's mating pattern, with a queen sacrifice on h7. So I played rook to e3. The idea is that if my opponent, for example, played a random move like a5, I can play queen takes on h7, king takes, and this is checkmate. But Paul defended well against this pattern. He played rook to b6. So in this case I can't play queen takes, king takes, rook to h3, because there's simply rook to h6 which covers the mate. So instead of that, I played a4. I thought I would try and attack the rook to move it, and try and move it from this 6th rank. Rook to e8, queen to e4. I was quite happy just to swap off pieces. Rook takes, queen takes, queen takes, rook takes. Rook to e6, bishop takes, and here after knight to c5 I was now able to play the Anastasia's mating pattern. Queen takes on h7, king takes rook, and rook to h3 is checkmate. Okay, let's have a look at the second game. Okay, let's have a look at the second game. So this time I was playing Marc Bonin, who is Paul's brother. And in this case I played b3, the Nimzo-Larsen attack. e5, bishop to b2. So the idea of the Larsen attack is to have this bishop attacking on this diagonal. Knight to c6, e3, d6, d3. While I was playing, I had the feeling that I was maybe not developing my pieces very nicely. I did 3 pawn moves and only 1 piece move, so I had the feeling that I was maybe not developing very nicely, but it seemed that it's still very drawish position, obviously. Bishop to e6, knight to d2, knight to f6, bishop to e2, g6, knight to f3. So we're both really developing our pieces. I played castle kingside. I liked knight to queen to e7 because it allows to castle on either side, so I still have to be careful of how I develop my pieces here. I thought if Mark castles queen side, I thought I'd attack on this flank to prevent that a little bit. So I played a4, castle queen side, a5. I thought I'd send my pawn as far as I could. a6, c4. I think with c4 I simply wanted to play queen to c2, bring the rook in and try and open up the game. e4. I took on e4, so that might have been a mistake, I don't know. If knight takes, I can take the bishop. So the pawn is lost, but it does open the position a little bit. So I still think it's possibly fairly even. There's a slight advantage for white, but I haven't won the game yet, that's for sure. Rook to h8, protecting the bishop. Queen to c2, bishop to g4. Rook. I'm not sure if I was very accurate here, because I also had the idea of bishop here to then try and push the pawns all the way down the board, but perhaps that was okay. Bishop takes on f3, bishop takes. Here I didn't want to take with the pawn because my king side would be very weak, and with the knight I had a feeling that perhaps I could, I could lose the pawn, because if I take with the knight, then simply knight takes, for example, or that would lose the pawn. Okay, bishop takes, knight to e5, b4, d5. I think that was a mistake, because that enabled me to take on d5. Knight takes, and here was the big mistake. Queen takes b4. There's actually a discovered attack. Bishop takes the knight, that's why I played. And the problem is that the queen is attacked. So white has just gained a piece. So the queen has to move. And to simplify matters, I simply took on g7. Then rook takes back. And here I played queen to b2. So again, a double attack. Attacking the b7 pawn and also attacking the rook. And here my opponent missed that the rook was attacked, so I simply took the rook and Mark resigned. So this first one went quite well. I won my 2 games out of 2. I'll let you have a look at the next one, which didn't go so well. I'll let you see for yourself. Okay, well, let's do this simultaneous exhibition. So I will be playing 2 players, and I'm going to try and choose 2 different openings for each player. So I'm going to play d4 against Paul Bunner. Good game to you. d4, and on this game I'm going to play b3. Okay, d5 played. I'm going to play c4. d5, so I'm going to play bishop b2. This is a bit like a sniper, potentially attacking the g7 square. So bishop to b2. Knight to f6. Okay. I'm going to play knight to... So this is the Queen's Gambit declined so far. And I'm going to play knight to c3. Oh, and I forgot to say good game to you, Mark Bonner. Knight to c6. Okay. I need to develop my pieces. I'm going to play e3 to open up the diagonal for the bishop. Okay, knight to c6 has been played. So I could take the pawn, or I could play e3. I'm going to play e3, or I could... I also have the option bishop to g5. I think that's the Cambridge Springs variation, if I'm not mistaken. It's nice to have the bishop outside of the pawn structure, because if I play e3 now, that is playable, but the problem is the bishop's going to be a bit stuck behind the pawns. So bishop here, white pawn takes, I could play e3. And if bishop here, might be able to play queen here or something. Okay, so I'm going to, or I could simply take. Perhaps I could take and then play bishop here. Yeah, I might try and do that. I'm actually going to take first. Okay, bishop to f5. So I need to be careful of perhaps some potential knight and bishop cooperation on the c2 pawn. I think I'm going to play bishop here, pinning the knight. So it hasn't moved automatically. My computer's maybe a bit slow. Okay, knight takes back. I think I'm going to play bishop here, so that's outside the pawn structure. Queen to d7. Okay. I need to develop some of my pieces here. So perhaps knight to f3, or should I play? Perhaps I could play f4 and then knight to f3. Oh, if I play f4, bishop here, knight here, bishop takes, queen takes, yeah, that should be okay. Knight takes knight, okay, so I'm going to take back. Just check, still working. Okay, doesn't seem to move to the next one, I don't know why. Okay, a6 has been played, so I need to place my bishop somewhere, and I would think that the best option would be e2. Let's do this. Okay, so queen to d5. My bishop's attacked. Got two options. I could play knight here, protecting the bishop. Or I could simply retreat. Bishop, knight here, bishop there. I can retreat. Bishop takes, pawn takes. No, that's not too good, is it? Okay, I'm going to retreat the bishop to h4. Okay, castle queenside. So I need to find a way to send my pieces towards the king. I'm going to play knight to f3. Okay, bishop to f5. A good control over the e4 square. Perhaps my best option is simply to play f3 and e4. Yep, I'm going to play that. Knight to f6, okay. Perhaps I can play d4, but then my bishop can't attack as well. Or maybe just simply d3 and bishop to d2 just to develop my pieces. Okay, let's do this. d3. Castle queenside. Okay, I think that's a fork. If I play e4, both the queen and the bishop are forked. Are there any intermediate moves? That's the question. Don't think so. There aren't any checks. I'm going to do that. Oh, is there knight takes? Pawn takes? No, that should be okay. e6. Okay, I'm going to continue my development with bishop, no, not bishop, knight d2. Just waiting it for Lichess to skip to the other game. Okay. Oh, I've messed up here. I've just realised something. I'm going to take back. Queen takes, and I'm going to lose the bishop. Okay. That was not. Oops, I just misclicked. Okay. This is not looking good. Okay, bishop to b4. So pinning the knight. Okay, I'm going to try and gain the space advantage. I'm going to play c3. Okay, so I've just lost a pawn. So that was not well played. We'll play bishop here. Bishop to d6. Okay. I'm going to play c4, I think. If pawn push, I can take back. Okay, queen check. I'm going to move the king to f2. So my computer's a bit slow and the auto switch doesn't seem to be working very well. Okay, h5, trying to attack, sending a pawn on the h file. Okay, I think I'm going to open up the position and try and bring in the rooks into play. So I'm going to take here. Okay, rook there. I'm going to play knight to e2. Pawn takes back. Okay. I'm going to play a3 to prevent the knight from moving to b4. Okay, so knight to e5. I can't take back because otherwise I'm losing the queen. So perhaps knight here to threaten check. Okay, but I think I'm going to play knight here. Queen to e6. Okay. Maybe I can try and bring in a rook into play on the open file. Okay, queen here, queen to c6. So I believe I can take the rook here. And I'm also protecting the pawn on c3. Queen takes back. Okay. I might have f4 attacking the knight and the bishop attacking the queen. Okay, so the knight has retreated to e7. Might play queen to c2. Okay, bishop here. I think I'm okay if I take back the bishop. Okay, queen here. Oh, did I just lose a pawn? Yes, I did. Okay. Okay, I'm going to play bishop here, because if I can get rid of the bishop, I'm threatening mate. So I'm going to play bishop here. Okay, queen takes back, and I should be able to take back. If I'm going to take back with this pawn, okay, queen to f5 check. Might simply play queen to f3. Okay, so knight to g4. So there's a mate threat here. So my only option, I believe, is rook to f1. Okay, I'm simply going to trade off the queens. We'll make it simpler. Okay, so knight took back on e5. I'm going to take back with the pawn. I'm attacking the bishop, and if the bishop takes back, I can take back and threaten mate. So I'm going to take back here. Okay, so I'm a rook up, so I need to find the quickest way to try and win. So maybe perhaps rook to e1. Okay, so I've just realised if I take back, the queen will come back and protect. That's not going to work. So I'm not in a good position here. Okay, I might have knight takes, queen takes, rook takes. So if the queen takes, checkmate. So knight takes, queen takes, rook takes, so knight takes. Then I can attack the queen. And the queen has to either go here or dare to defend here. And I think I can win the knight if I'm not mistaken. So let's do this. Knight takes bishop. Okay, bishop here. I'm simply going to play rook to b1, preventing the bishop going to b2. Queen takes. Okay. So rook takes. h6. Okay. Simply going to play e6. Okay, now I should be able to play d4. Rook takes. Oh, that was not a very good move, was it? I've just lost the bishop. Perhaps my best option is to keep rook against bishop. So now I can take the knight. I'm just going to trade rooks. Check. And try and grab the pawns. Okay, if I'm going to move my... So the queen can take here. But the problem is if rook here, then there's 2 attacks on the bishop. So I think I'm going to move the king to f1 here. No, I'm not going to accept the draw because I think I can win this. I'm going to take on h4. Okay, I'm going to take on h6. Okay, g6. I think I'm going to play queen to f4 just to keep an eye on that pawn there. So queen here. Okay, I'm going to move the king in order to protect d4. Might just play here. Okay, I didn't play very well the end game of this one. I lost the bishop in a silly way, so I need to stay focused. Doesn't seem to be switching, so I might do it manually. Okay, so I can switch back. Okay, so first thing I need to grab this pawn, so I'm going to play rook to f6. Okay, so I just need to be careful to not get mated. I'm going to move the bishop to d3 to control the e2 square. Take the pawn. Take the pawn. If I play here, then there's h4. Perhaps I can play here. Okay, I'm going to send this pawn to make a queen. Okay, h6. Don't want to lose my rook, so I'm going to play rook e4. Oh, okay, I understand. The auto switch only works if my opponent has played. Okay, I'm going to simplify the position. If I play rook here, I can take the bishop and I can make a queen. So rook here. Okay, queen takes. I'm going to take. Oh no, wait. I wasted a mistake here. If I take on f7, then rook f8, and I'm losing the queen, so that's not good. Okay, I'm going to take on h5. No, because I'm losing the rook. I'm not focused, so I need to be careful here. I'm going to play rook here, I think. I'm going to take the bishop. And I'm going to make a queen. Okay. King here. Let's make a queen. King here. Queen check. Queen here. King there. Oh, checkmate. Okay, well played, Mark. I didn't see that one. Okay, king to a4. So I need to be careful of not doing a stalemate. So for a moment, I'm just going to make a second queen. I'll make it easier. If you want to see more weekly and monthly videos, you can subscribe to the Chessgamology channel by clicking on the subscribe button. And you can also check out some of my other videos. Have a nice day. See you next time. Goodbye.